Heartbreaker, save me tonight. Life is so strange when you think someone new. This time tomorrow I know what to do. Oh, I know it's happened to you. Stay, that's what I meant to say, or do something. But what I meant to say is stay this time. I really meant to spell that this time. But you can never really tell when somebody wants so much to say. That's what I meant to say, or do something. But what I never say is stay this time. I really meant to spell that this time. But you can never really tell when somebody wants something you want to, and you want to stay. If you want to, if you want to.
Dennis Davis's wife, Chie Davis, is here. Yes. Is that right? Is she here? Chie?
Stand up, Chie! And Hikaru, Dennis Davis's son and wife.
So that clip was from Music Laden in 1978, filmed in Germany. Just a year before that, though, David retreated to Germany to record the first album of the Berlin trilogy, Love. At the time, he said, I was making a new musical language for a new life. How did the D.A.M trio figure into that new language?
Well, before we had done that, we also did Iggy Pop. And so he brought us in to do Iggy Pop. Again, David was kind of testing the waters and trying to find out, how do you go from doing that, but now I want you to do punk. Iggy Pop, punk. I'm not trying to sophisticate anything, punk. So there was no crazy stuff, it's gotta be pure. So to go from that and then go into this unknown, again, no preparation necessary, just excellence. A need for bringing your best game, and the one thing that we all know we learn from a very early age, you must listen. To be able to go there and have an open mind and be able to listen to what's going on and understand that nothing is really expected other than excellence. But we don't really know what it's going to be. And then we got introduced to Brian Eno. And that changed everything. The D.A.M trio at that point was being asked to look at funk within a rock environment, punk within a punk environment, and experimental music. But let's understand something concerning the trilogy. We should take the trilogy in two parts, like we all do because of the era and the epoch that we live in. Every album has a side A and a side B. The D.A.M trio was always side A, and the Brian Eno experimental symphonic computer music was side B. And so if you really split it down the middle, you'll really see that the D.A.M trio continued in their crazy funk, pop, rock, blah, 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 and still were able to flip it over and enter into the experimental area, which was very important for the development of electronic music and ambient music for that particular time.
Yes, and so the D.A.M trio, for those that may not know this, you occasionally wrote with David on these albums. Dennis and George co-wrote Breaking Glass, you co-wrote Secret Life of Arabia and DJ on the live album. So, I'd be curious to know, as his musical director during this time, how did you go about translating these songs to the stage from the studio? Because they kind of had more of a funkier personality once you took them to the stage.
Well, David and I had a kind of understanding about what it was that we were trying to project. we always try to project forward to make you think that what you were hearing was what you had heard. So you listen, you know how you remember a song in your mind's ear, and you're like, oh yeah. And then you finally go home and you actually take out your old phonograph and you put that scratchy needle and then you hear it. That's not stereo, and that's not all 5.1. It's horribly mono. But in our ear, we hear it the way we hear it now. And that's the perception that David wants. So every album that we did, if you're doing station to station, then you have to modify Young Americans to be a little bit more like the new one. If we're doing station to station, then we have to modify it a little bit so it's like low. You know, if you're doing low. So it went like that. Also, David had a very, very simple philosophy that he just like nailed me with, and I was like, wow. If you want to change your sound, change the band. Duh. I was always shocked. I mean, how do you hear that and then expect to get called back? I'm just saying. And yet, I was always shocked because he did call me back. And I was the one that he always kept calling back.
Because he loved you.
Yeah. Or it might have been that cute satin Latin look that I was back there. And that's when I had a really high voice, you know, that voice is gone. But the issue of the D.A.M trio being able to, again, no matter, he had found in me someone that could morph and someone that could change. But he had found in the D.A.M trio exactly the same thing. Excellence on all levels of accomplishment. Nothing was out of bounds.
So, in 1980, David releases Scary Monsters, which is the last album to feature the D.A.M trio as the D.A.M trio. And in 1980, we could go into a record store and get this album, but Robin, you, Carlos, and your daughter Leah were living on West 26th Street. And I would love to know what was happening across the hall from you.
David lived across the hall. There were 2 apartments on each floor. It was a loft building full of musicians and singers, people that, if I name their names, you would know them. And David came to visit us one day, and he went, "What?" It was a 2,500 square foot loft, completely finished. He had a brownstone on 22nd Street that was tight. And he came into our apartment and was like, "Wait a second, what's going on here? I want one." And we said, "People next door just moved down." Took it in one day. In a week, David was living across the hall.
Now, Robin, while David was in Germany recording the trilogy, more or less, in 1977, you were singing on the very first album recorded by Chic, produced by Nile Rodgers, if you know that. That's Robin singing on Dance, 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 and Everybody Dance in the background. And so it's interesting that Nile would then go on to produce Let's Dance for David in 1983. So I'd be curious to know, in what way do you think Young Americans sort of set the foundation for Let's Dance to happen?
I don't think it did. I think it led David. David was looking for the soul, and he found that in us. Nile had been a part of us. We knew Nile. I think the trajectory to Dance, Dance, Dance was more or less, David needed a dance record. Record company wanted a dance record. He needed a dance hit. And Nile was the perfect person to give it to him. And it had already been set up, predestined in a way, from Listen My Brother. Not from Listen My Brother, from Young Americans. It was the natural place to go after that. And in that particular time of his life, because he needed that at that particular time of his life, and Nile was the perfect person to give it to him.
Yes. And so, Carlos, you toured with David on the Serious Moonlight tour that accompanied Let's Dance. Armand Rojas on bass. And what's interesting is at the time, David now is on MTV. Let's Dance, China Girl, Modern Love, they're all in heavy rotation. David comes out and criticizes MTV for not featuring videos by black artists. And for a white male artist to make that sort of statement, at that time was particularly rare and bold. And I wonder, what do you think emboldened David to make that statement at that time?
Well, I think he needed to, I mean, again, the social consciousness that you're looking at is evident in his lyric. You don't have to wait until that moment to know that he was awake and fully engaged. And so I think that it behooved him to be able to look at them and say, I've got a serious question. Why? Why not? They're hitting it, they're marking it, they're on the charts, everything is going on, and you're saying is blah, 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 but there's no representation. So again, it is the courage to ask the question, but it also takes courage to be able to answer it. They did not answer it. And that is what is the observation that has to be made. For someone to be able to take you to task on what it is, again, if you can't explain it, you can't defend it, they knew something was happening. Later on, MTV Raps comes on and they overtake everything. Why? Because that's what the people wanted to hear. And because of that, knowing your market, knowing your target audience, and knowing what the next it is going to be was David's brand, not MTV.
And I think David was the perfect person to bring that message. It was totally unexpected. David Bowie's going to ask about why isn't black music being played on MTV? What they didn't realize was his roots. Part of his roots was in black music. He'd been listening to black music since he was a little boy. So coming to the United States and living his dream, as far as that was concerned, it was I have this platform, let me ask the question. Why aren't you playing the people that I love, the people that I listen to, the music that I
Now, one of the songs that you performed on the Serious Moonlight tour was Cat People, Putting Out the Fire. Now that tour ends, and then an artist opens her tour with Cat People. Do you know who? Tina Turner. Yes. Tina Turner opens her show in 1984 with Cat People just before her comeback. Now, Tina's not here, but we do have an original I Get in the house. Joshie Armstead, are you here? Yeah, Joshie.
Oh, stand up, please.
Yeah, there it is. So Tina then went on to record David's 1984 on Private Dancer. She sings on his album Tonight. Now, Robin, you also sang on the Tonight album.
Yes, I did.
So what do you attribute to that special dynamic between David and Tina?
They loved each other. They had great rapport. They had inside jokes. They had great respect for each other. He idolized her. I mean, how could you not? I idolized her. When I got to meet her, it was like, oh, Lordy! My friend said, Lordy, Lordy! That's just what I said. In here. Thank you for that, Fonzie.
But also, David was somewhat fearful as well, because it was Tina. And so he came to us and said, look, we're going to have dinner with Tina Turner, and you guys got to be there. I want to be there. And he had done that to us when we were living across the hall from him, and I built where he would get like, Simon and Alpha are going to come over. Can we hang in your place? Like, I don't want to just be by myself with that. But boy was like, I don't want to be in my apartment, And so Tina was there, and it was like, first of all, Robin and I are Buddhists, and Tina was also a Buddhist.
Practices the same
so
sect of Buddhism.
David, we can all partake of this gathering, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a lovely.
First of all, the most wonderful woman I've ever met in my life.
Gracious.
Most beautiful among the many beautiful women I've met in my life. She's certainly one of them. And the soul. And I'm not talking about the soul that she sang. I'm talking about this soul, her heart, and wise, smart, and gave me good advice. And again, I was bowing and scraping because I grew up on Tina Turner. And here I go again, living a dream that I never thought I'd live.
So is David.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm sorry, just saying that there are certain moments in your life when you know you've like hit that peak and that bucket list, you know. I met Tina Turner. Ooh.
So now another peak is that same year, Robin, you released your solo album Surrender, which featured the David Bowie band with Carlos on guitar, Carmine Rojas on bass, Omar Hakim on drums. But the special surprise was David writing the liner notes on the back cover, where he said that you have one of the most distinctive voices that can be heard on nearly everybody's records. What does it mean for you to have David write those words?
It meant everything. It meant absolutely everything. First of all, I was shocked that he did it. I didn't ask him. Carlos spoke to him and he said, "Hey, David, Robin's doing a record. You want to write something?" And he was like, "Sure." He had no problem with that. But it meant everything for him to take the time to do that and to say what he said. I didn't expect it. It was totally unexpected, but it was wonderful.
But what he said was, "This is my sister. This is my sister from another mother. This is my soulmate. This is someone who I feel for." It's that type of camaraderie and just it's family.
Yeah.
And so we can try to make other words out of it, but in a family moment, you would do anything for your family. And that's basically the way he felt about it.
And David met us as a family. He and I, from day one, whether we had a child or not, we were a family. So when he came into our lives, he saw stability. He saw stability of a family. This man and I are bonded. So I think that's part of the reason, why he clung to us. Because there was a certain amount of stability there. I think that there was something there that he admired. And we took him into our family. We embraced him. We had little private jokes together. He became my brother. Like I said, I told you, he'd come into my room and in the Chateau de Herville while they were recording, and "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm writing." He says, "Can I lay on the bed with you?" "Sure, come on." And laugh and joke and just talk. How many people do you get that with? Not many. And David Bowie, come on. Who can tell that story?
But that type of comfort is the type of comfort that you get. You know, when you're gonna meet Tina, we're there, family. Yeah.
So I have about 200 more questions I'd love to ask, but really I'm going to only ask 2 more. In the meantime, let's start to line up. If you have a question, there are microphones on either side of the aisles. So over the next couple of questions, just line up behind the microphones. We'll try to get to as many of you as possible. But in the meantime, Robin, Simple Minds came calling. The woman who sang on Young Americans to sing on their album Once Upon a Time. It's your voice that powers Alive and Kicking, all the things she said, and the 2-year tour that followed. But in the meantime, David called on Shaka Khan, Cissy Houston, Luther Vandross, Fonzie, and a bunch of other vocalists to sing on Underworld from Labyrinth. A year later, you returned to sing background on Never Let Me Down, along with your friends Diva Gray, Gordon Grody, Lonnie Groves. And then David duets with Al B. Shore on Black Tie, White Noise, which features a who's who, including Fonzie, Tawanda Aji, Dennis Collins, Curtis King, Brenda White King. So David's around some of the best vocalists on the planet. What was it about these vocalists that you feel he admired, and how did that impact his own voice?
Every one of those singers that you just named is consummate. That's how it impacted him. David had the talent. He had several talents, but one of his biggest talents to me was the fact that he could recognize what it was that he needed and greatness in people, and he would say, "I think I want that. I'm going to take that over here. I see greatness over there. I think I'm going to take that greatness and put it over here." And that's what David did. Those voices impacted him because, first of all, the music was living within him. And you're talking about the premier top singers in New York City. Every single one of those people that you named. So again, natural trajectory for him to go that way. He also knew our circle of people. So also, every one of those people that you named were friends of ours that we saw. So it was a natural place for him to go. It was the natural thing for him to do. There wasn't anything for him. There wasn't anything else. It had to be that. It had to be those people.
And I just realized I get so excited talking about it that I said underworld and I meant underground for Vladimir. This is what happens when you talk about David. So, Carlos, several of David's contemporaries soon sought you out for their solo work. Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney among them. In fact, you're one of the very few people on this planet who's written a song with Mick Jagger. You wrote 2 songs on She's the Boss, and you continue to work with David throughout the 80s and the 90s, all the way up to Reality in 2003. What did you learn? And you got the way little known fact is that Carlos pioneered the glasses that Kadeem Hardison wore in A Different World. Debbie Allen tweeted about it, so you know it's true. So, what did you learn from all of your work with David that you brought to these experiences with these other musicians?
You learn that the journey is more important than the destination. You learn that if you don't explore and experiment, you will die musically. You learn that listening is more important than playing. You learn that less is more. You learn that excellence has nothing to do with friendships. Excellence depends on itself. It doesn't really matter who you are. The minute I hear you play and we're grooving, man, I love you. And look, I got thrown so many. If we look at this issue of if you want to change the sound, change the band. Well, it's one thing to work with, what you saw when we were in Germany with a violinist, a piano player, 2 synthesizer players, 3 guitars. But then he gives me horns and 5, young Americans, 6 vocalists. Each one of those things brings on totally different methodologies that I have to use in order to create different arrangements. One of the things that we constantly did was rearrange material that you thought you heard, but you're listening to a song that's not even the song you think it is. It's some other song that was rearranged. It's like, remember when we did Iggy Pop's Sister Midnight? It ended up being Red Sails. What was it, Red Sails? Red Money. Who said that? No publishing for you. Red Money. So, this constant rearranging stuff, it's almost like David would bait me. What are you going to do with this arrangement? We would come into the studio and he would say, oh, so what are we going to do? I'm like, dude, what do I know? What have you got? Ding, 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 ding. Dude, please, not that. And that's all. Basically, this ability to get music out of nowhere is amazing. You look forward to the intimidation. You look forward to the uncertainty. That's crazy. What kind of job would be so chaotic that you will go in not knowing what you're supposed to do and end up doing something that you never did before?
Cooking.
And it becomes a #1 hit. Appreciated by the audiences and the like. I mean, that's really somewhat crazy. So to have a mindset that you're thrown into that abyss, you have to think, the only thing that will allow me to condition myself is to continually experiment and explore. Dennis Davis has sonar drums that were like this. I developed a 19-inch rack units, studio quality equipment to be used on stage before Jerry Garcia, before Frank Zappa, before all of that. This makes experimentation and exploration the biggest thing that you can do. You can't be satisfied with yesterday. It's done. Move on. Your identity is not part of what you did, and it's not a part of what is expected of you. It is the unexpectedness of your own exploration that satisfies you in such a way that I am so happy. But happiness in musical form also makes you at peace. Because the uncertainty that Rob and I have faced all our lives has always been the same. Is it good enough? Is what I did going to come out? Am I going to actually hear it? There's no guarantee that what you played is going to be released. And if it is, it's released 5 years later as a compilation of something else. These things you learn not because you want to learn. You learn them because you're not resistant to learning them. Musicians that are resistant to learning will not survive. Technology is like a wave. Bowie said something to me that I will never forget. It's a mantra that I use constantly. Let go or be dragged. So, all the experiences that I have been able to amass all my years have allowed Robin and I to stay on top of the curve. I mean, let's understand, we were in our 20s when we met. Bowie was in his 20s. We're like years old now. And we're still, you know, totally involved in the music. People are calling us all, and this is the artist thing that Robin and I will tell you, it has amazed us. Ring, hello? Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I'm available. Okay. That's it. That you wonder how it happens? That's it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. We don't know who it is. You know, yeah, we get, oh my God, I gotta interject. Robin, please tell about Barry White.
No, you must.
Oh. Robin was working with Barry White. Now,
No.
Barry, no.
Excuse me?
You have to tell the story. Sorry. This is how you stay married. Yes, dear.
I'm in the hair salon getting my hair done on 72nd Street and Broadway. The receptionist comes and she says, "Oh my God! Barry White is on the phone." Barry White is on the phone?
Sounds like a song.
I go to the phone. He says, "Hello,
Yeah, super low voice.
this is Barry White." In the meantime, Carlos is calling on the other line in the salon. "Barry White just called! Barry White just called! Barry White just called!" I gave him the number to the salon. Robin, I'm doing David Letterman tonight. No, excuse me, tomorrow night. And I'd like to know if you would like to sing background for me. Yeah.